Welcome to Health Oddity, the show that strips away the jargon and hype surrounding all things health and fitness to help you live a long, strong and energetic life. Lining up at the bar this week, here's Peter Lant and James St. Pierre.
Hello and welcome to the Health Oddity podcast, episode 267. And we are joined today. I'll touch base with Mr. Peter Lant because Peter has actually been sat in a tattooist's chair today, and he's had 3 hours, I think, in a tattooist's chair tattooing his ribs, which he said was a lot more painful than he expected. But how are you feeling, Pete? Are you okay?
No, it was actually less painful than I expected, but it was still bloody painful. But you know, you got to go through these things to get where you want to, haven't you? So you know, yeah, it's not finished either. It's not finished. I've got to go back in a month.
Okay. And I did send I sent Dan a copy of the last review that we had, that we read out on the podcast, where our reviewer specifically mentioned Dan, and I think he said, and I did forward this to you, Dan, the email. I know you read it, and what was the quote he said? He said, James and Peter are regularly joined by knowledgeable guests, including the fountain of knowledge, Dan John, who dispenses wisdom from many years of his background as a discus and strength coach. So it is Dan John today, and it is Dan John's record-breaking 12th visit to the Unique Results podcast. How are you doing?
Whoa! It's the Health Oddity podcast, mate. Not the.
What did I say?
You said Unique Results.
Health. Sorry, it's because I'm wearing the hoodie. Look,
there's going to be a power struggle going on after this.
You give him a little bit, Pete. You give him a little bit of fame.
Honestly, Pete, you've given me a little bit of power, and now I'm going to be. You're going to have to get rid of me.
Yeah, we'll have to do something about that. We need to have a chat at the end of this.
Sorry, the Health Oddity podcast. After 267 episodes, the Health Oddity podcast. Deary me. Dan John has just come back from a big tour of Australia. How are you doing, Dan?
It's funny. That jet lag is real, and I was weirdly okay going out. I mean, there was the signs. You get that little bit of, about halfway through a sentence, you kind of forget. You forget like a word or something, and that's fine. But coming back, I was a little. Usually, I'm fine. It was just this time, my body weight, of course, went up a little bit, but I'm back down. Do you want kilos or pounds? What do you guys prefer?
Both.
Okay, so the day I left, I was 199, and I've been in the low 200s ever since. The 202, 203, but that's not bad. And my daughter Kelly has this great theory that for every day you're on vacation, you give you 2 days grace coming back. And especially if you travel, and I got to tell you, I trained every day while I was there. I did a ton of time on the beach. I feel great. Piers Kwan is a great host. His group is really good. It's funny. This is a compliment. I don't know what the name of the gym that you have, but I know it's affiliated with the Health Oddity podcast. But your place and Piers Kwan's, your communities are very similar. It would be really interesting. I'm pretty sure that most of the people I work with from Piers' place could fit in perfectly at your gym, Unique Results, and Unique Resultsers with Queensland Kettlebell. It's and I got to tell you, okay, keep going. I think that's why I like hanging out with you guys so much. There's a sense of community. I don't feel like I'm, battling at war because I don't, if I don't like something or if I have a different concept, it's not evil or sad or it's not like the Nazis or the fascists are taking over. It's just that we just disagree. I don't like this exercise and you do. I can see the value. You can see the value of my point. I really enjoy my time with both groups. So, so I'm going to be coming back to What's that, Jim? It's affiliated with Health Auditing. Meek Results
Yeah.
in Essex. I'll be coming back in spring sometime, so that's good.
Excellent. No, and we can't wait to have you. That'll be amazing. And I will just say, I usually say at the start, this is going out on the 10th of October. So if you are listening on or near the day of release, it's the 10th of October. And yeah, it'll be great. Yeah, we have just had a little chat, and we will be doing our very best to get Dan back over at Unique Results next spring, like we said. And there's lots we've got to talk about, but I do have to talk about your book, your new one, which I'm holding up, which is The Art of Coaching, which is also over your shoulder on your bookcase on the video as well. There you go. And I know you mentioned, because I don't know if you remember, but I actually hosted the original.
Mhm.
You mentioned the workshop. I hosted
Yeah,
the original Art of Coaching workshop in England when it
yes,
was,
you did.
which must have been, well, it was definitely sort of pre-COVID and all.
Oh, it was 10. Yeah, it was easy 10 years. 18, 17, maybe.
Yeah, 2018, 2000. Yeah. So the Art of Coaching, I had a team meeting today with my coaches, and we've got a new guy who started with us on Monday called Joe. And I have to say that he's a great trainer, but one thing not in his favor is he didn't know who Dan John was. So yeah, I know.
Is that not the first question on the application form?
That's a sackable offence. I know. Dan has left. Dan has walked off. Dan has walked off. Is he going to come back? Yes. Here he comes.
My handler said I had to stay.
But I did just say beforehand, Steph, my wife, obviously she's just ordered another 3 copies today, because I said that we were going to give the 3 sort of employed trainers each a copy of the book, because like you say, I think that it doesn't go into, programming and sets and reps and all the rest of it. It really is, well, do you want to kind of tell us the kind of synopsis or the explanation behind the book? Because I read it, and it's just got so many truths in there that I
Yeah.
think can, whether you run a CrossFit facility, whether you run a kettlebell gym, whether you're into Olympic lifting, whether you're training, regular people, whether you're training athletes, I think it kind of talks about those universal truths, doesn't it, around coaching? But
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm glad you mentioned there's no I mean, we talk about systems in there. We talk about, and I think if you have a good gym, you have a system and you don't even know you have it. And I think that's part of the job of your meetings is to come up and say, what do we do? Just make sure, so if someone comes to our gym and says, I got a new piece of equipment, we got to be able to figure out whether that works. It might be the best thing in the world for, the All Blacks rugby team. And that's a perfect piece of equipment, but it doesn't work with us because of it's too big or whatever. It could be great for the national Olympic lifting team, but it doesn't work for us. And I think that's why. But one of the things I'm getting a lot of feedback on, and I'm going to explain the book in just a moment, but there are some points. But there's this, I don't even know what to call it. Even in the book, I'm still struggling with a name for it. But it's like I think there's this between coach and athlete, between trainer and client, there's this energy matrix, and we'll just use the number. It goes together, it goes to 10. I know this. When I'm first coaching somebody, I like to think it would be 5 and 5. You've got enthusiasm, and I got enthusiasm for you. So I have 5 bites of enthusiasm. You have 5. Something bad. You fail at the nationals. You have the worst week. Things are bad. Maybe that week I'm the 8 on the enthusiasm scale and you're 2. But at the nationals themselves, I might be in the stands going, I'm 1 and you're 9. And I think it's this idea that sometimes we got to rethink these relationships. And it's just a small little chapter, but I actually think it'd make a good dissertation for a student, a thesis dissertation, to actually the first level would be to talk to coaches, talk to mentors, talk to trainers and say, have you often carried your clients? Sometimes your clients will carry you. And I think I think that's a natural thing. It was a small part of the book, but that's the one point people have kind of called me up and said, can we talk about this more? Book comes down to this. It's the art of coaching. It's real simple, folks. I'll just give you a classic example. I asked James it's that facility in Essex. It's related to health oddity unique. And I say to James, where's the bathroom? If he says it's right there and he points, that's a simple question with a simple answer. Then there's something like, and I use the example in the book, I think it was Voyager, they figured out within seconds with, at the time, slide rules and paper and physics, the minute on the clock that Voyager were, enter Pluto's whatever. And they nailed it within seconds. Well, how did you do that? Well, I mean, come on, you need to have where Pluto's orbit is, Earth's orbit. You need all kinds of things about space and, all kinds of stuff. That's a complicated question. And if you took a long time to explain it to me, I'd be okay with it because it's a complex answer. And now we'll move over. If I ask you where the bathroom is and you give me latitude and longitude, and then you give me this, you took a very simple question and you made it complicated. And I give that the highest standard of all, called bullshit. Okay. That is, and sadly, in the field that I work in and I love, this is what happens all the time. People have been asking me about this body composition change I went through. I'm going to tell you what I did. And in fact, right inside my pocket here is my pedometer. I walk 10,000 steps a day. I have them. I try to strive to be 100 calories in debt every day. So I basically need 26 to 2,700 calories at my size. I try to go 25 or to 2,600. And then I lift weights 3 days a week in a really relatively simple program. That's it. That's what I do. That's the honest to God truth. Those are the three things. And I've lost a pound a year for 4 years, a pound a month for 4 years. Well, when people say, well, what about, and then they always want to know about creatine, they want to know about ephedrine, they want to know about anabolics, they want to know about testosterone, they want to know about none of that, none of it. There's none of that. It's, I burn about 850 calories on that 10,000 steps. I'm in a caloric deficit of 100, which means even if I have occasional screw ups, I'm going to be okay. On the board in my gym, one of my athletes, my All-American discus thrower, she's a coach now, and she asked me to summarize my yearly training. So I put 2 words on the board. I said the first section when you're working with your athlete, fit goes far, and then once you get into the season, smooth goes far. And she goes, that's it. I go, yeah. So most of the year, you get the athlete fit to throw far. And then once you get in the season, you just try to be as smooth as you can. Then she said, well, how do you coach the discus? And I said, you already know it. Stretch, 1, 2, 3, stomp, X, spanky. Those 8 words are all I use to teach a beginner discus thrower, an All-American, someone getting ready for the Olympics. If you look at the discus, it looks really complex. But if you take the time, I can simplify it into 1, 2, 3, stretch, spanky, stomp, and X. And the funny thing is that spanky, stretch, and X are all redundant phrases. They're all the same thing. Mm-hmm. And stomp and one are redundant. So even as something as complicated as discus throwing looks, if you take the time and the energy to fold your arms and go, let's make it as simple as possible. See, I think that's the art of coaching. And that's the issue I have sometimes. You'll notice in workshops and even podcasts, both you've seen me work, when somebody asks, I hate to call it an asinine comment, but some comment that takes something really simple and really, I wouldn't say I get frustrated, but it's more like, why did you take something that is so why did you complex it up when simplicity would have been a much better answer? You
Mm.
know? So to me, that's the art of coaching. And then once you kind of get this idea that I'm going to keep things simple, then the rules are pretty easy. Addition by subtraction just still makes me laugh, and I hate to, but the best example I can ever think of was my Aunt Pat, my mom's sister, who actually um, Howard Hughes, who was a very famous character in history, actually had a minor crush on. Was my aunt. She was a lovely thing, but she was, let's just say, when she left a party, everybody got a lot happier. And we all have friends like that. I know you, James, have mentioned Peter, but
Peter the Fun Sponge.
but sometimes, and I found this to be true. About once, I don't do it as often as I used to, but I'd go through my gym, and I just start pulling things off walls. I would throw things away. I would put it on the side of the house. I just get rid of. If we don't use a piece of equipment, I I physically take it out of the gym space. And what happens sometimes is that empty area that was that junk machine we actually honestly never use, but I got it because someone said I should and I don't use it. I'll tell you, I'm at $1,300 is what my Concept 2 rower got, and I took it out and I donated it to a friend of mine. He's a physio,
Yep.
a physical trainer, we call him here in the United States, a
Mm.
physical therapist. And I gave it to him because it was just becoming a seat. It was a $1,300 seat and no one was using it. And I know online, everybody does 2.5 hours of rowing every day. I know that's true. And they do intervals of 2,000 meters for 20 sets of that. I know that. But in real life, it just becomes a seat that's kind of fun because it slides up and down. I had this um, kind of expensive machine. I won't mention it, but it just sat there gathering dust out. I've had hyper extension machines that were poorly made, and there's an issue with hyper extensions if you're male, and if they're not made well, they don't work well. Threw it out. All kinds of things, and sometimes the gym is better without it there. In fact, I can almost guarantee every listener, if you just went into your closet, your refrigerator, and it's more than just decluttering. It's addition by subtraction.
Mm.
It'll be a better refrigerator when you remove those things. It'll be a better pantry with take that out. It'll be a better closet. And I get it. You might only wear your tuxedo once every few years. That can stay. But you know, I don't know, your whatever it is that you just have in there, get rid of it, toss it out, move on. And then, of course, I mean, it's I feel like I'm yabbering on, but to me, um, that was a big part of the book. The idea of the art of coaching, addition by subtraction, and then, of course, anything you add new. Like when I was, people get on me about this, but I basically dumped kettlebell swings because we have two hip thrust machines, and I find I can teach the hip thrust in about 20 seconds. And when I look online about the modern swing, I can't even tell you what a swing is anymore.
Mm.
When you look at there are actually people teaching this finish on the swing as the correct way to finish.
Mm.
You might as well just clean it. If you can do that, just clean it. Just
And I think part of the book as well, you mentioned, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but you mentioned the risk to reward kind of idea. And like you
yeah,
say, if you can teach a hip thrust in 20 seconds, and the chances of someone actually injuring themselves doing a hip thrust, even like a banded hip thrust or a body weight hip thrust
yeah.
or anything,
You'd
is
really have to.
is it's kind of zero, isn't it? You'd really have to
You'd
do.
really have to go out of your way. I
Yeah.
mean,
Whereas, like you say, the way some people swing a kettlebell and because the kind of the prevailing mindset often is, it's got to be heavier. If it's not heavy, it's not worth doing. You can, which is where probably kettlebells got the reputation in some way of, they're bad for your back, or they cause you to injure yourself, because you can injure yourself doing something very dynamic, very ballistic with a heavy weight, if you don't know what you're doing and if you're doing it wrong. So yeah.
And even if, I mean, let's be honest, the Olympic lifts, if you do them right, they're one of the most rewarding things in the world. If you miss a rep, you could end your career. I mean, so, and if I'm working with you, say James, you hire me because you want to do a Highland Games, James, how old are you now?
47.
Oh, by the way, that was the best year of my athletic career, was age 47. That's funny
Yeah.
you said that. Yeah, the best year of my athletic career. At discus throwing and Highland Games. That's funny. Yeah. Uh, but at 47, if you want to do Highland Games, and I said, I might not teach you the Olympic lifts if you've never lifted before, but I would teach you a whole bunch of tools that cobbled together equal an Olympic lift. You know what I'm saying? But they would all be safer choices. 17-year-old James shows up, and I'd be like, this is an Olympic bar. This you're going to fall in love with for the next decade.
Mm.
So, yeah. So, one of the things that happens sometimes is that people will add things, but they don't do the rigor of going, okay, since I've added this, that means I can pull this out. One of the things I mean, obviously I wouldn't say I have a love affair with the double kettlebell front squat, but for nearly everyone I work with, the goblet squat and the double kettlebell front squat are the best squat options they can have. Now, I know there's going to be a powerlifting lifter who just had another heart attack. Okay, that's a joke, another heart. Okay. But I know, but honestly, I just don't see the benefit. uh, Heavy back squats are a lot like lunges to me. You do them, but I've never had an athlete do there's never been a straight line between we got our back squats up and we threw discus farther. We got our back squats up and played American football better. We did more lunges and, I ran faster. I've never seen it. And so if I can get an exercise that's a lot easier to teach with a lot less risk. So I think double kettlebell front squats are a lot less risk than back squats. Uh,
Mm.
Also too, the tension you get here, oh, it just doesn't end. And and no issues with the knees or the that whole pelvic seat that we're starting to see injuries here in the United States with over lunging. So I give you this program of hip thrusts and double kettlebell front squats, and it's the least sexy looking thing I've ever seen in my life. But there's low risk, high reward. I mean, come on, there's an A program for you. Yeah.
There's a guy who comes on our walks called Alan. I don't know how old he is. He reads articles, right, and he sends me. He prints them out and gives them to me. It's great. It's like, just send me the link, but he prints them and gives them. But anyway, he said this thing, and I've not heard this before. I was wondering if you'd heard it, Dan, because I think it's basically what you're describing. And he said, you get an optimist and a pessimist described as a glass half full, glass half empty. He said there's a third one, which is the realist who realizes the glass is twice the size it needs to be. And that is exactly what you're describing. I love it. I've never heard that before.
I'm stealing that right now.
Absolutely, you can have that one. It's brilliant.
All of that.
That is exactly what you're describing in my head. It's like, there's just forget about all that and just reduce down, and then it doesn't matter if the glasses are full or not. It's now full.
And I think that really is the second big rule of the art of coaching, is that you just keep, I'm sure you've done it in you've done it in your careers. You fold your arms and you say, this is redundant. This is just so it can be redundant. We already took care of that issue with this exercise or this time of year. Now, okay, we don't need to add more. Enough is enough. And figuring out when you get to what enough is, like you said, I have a full glass. That's full. It's enough. Adding more is just water on the floor. Ooh, and that rhymed too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's it. And I've recently been reintroducing a lot of the ab wheel as well, which I know
Yeah.
is one of your kind of favorite, I suppose, kind of like, if you want to call
Ah,
it ab core,
yeah,
anterior, whatever you want to call it,
whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
exercises. Because and I think that's a fantastic exercise that I've been doing with people. And mixing it up to kind of reduce the range to begin with, and I've worked out a way to add like a resistance band to it so that you go out and you get a bit
Okay.
of assistance coming back.
Oh,
Uh,
oh,
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it makes it easier rather than more difficult to begin with. The one I've got what is really works well for that. So people can go out and it gives them a bit of assistance, and then you can reduce the assistance they get by reducing it, and then they can do it. But everyone's really enjoying that and really feeling
oh,
it.
it
And
is there. Yeah,
such a
you can
good
feel how.
exercise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Well, okay, so there you go. Ready? Ready? Hip thrust, double kettlebell front squat or goblet squat, half kneeling press, ab wheel, suitcase carry. There's the Dan John approved health oddity perfect workout
Mm, mm,
because they're all easy teachers. They're easy to teach. Um, they're all built in. They got built-in mobility work. The hip thrust is wonders for the hip flexor.
mm,
And of course, the goblet squat does a lot more than just the quads. The
mm,
half kneeling press, once again, the hip flexor, and
mm,
whatever you have to do to hold on here, whatever you want to call this area today.
mm,
The ab wheel and the suitcase carry. There you go,
mm.
folks. There's your perfect workout.
But still
But
buy the book.
yeah, because it's funny because, like you said, I think I've been in numerous kind of courses and workshops, and I know I can remember some of them with yourself teaching, and like you say, if something's simple, you've always got someone who puts the hand up and asks a complex question, and I'm never really sure if they're asking the question because it's a genuine question, or they're asking the question because they're trying to show how bright they are, and
Oh,
and use use big words and
here.
kind of
Well, that
show how much they know, really.
you've seen it too. The hand will go up. Yeah, Dan, I have a question. I'm strong first level 2 body weight cert. I've done CrossFit level 1. I have a TPG. I've done a 2-day nutrition course. I've done a 1-hour meditation course. Dude, not one of those things has impressed me. But okay. And then they just want the audience to know that they're just doing their Vita for the audience, and
Yeah.
everything's 2-day workshops. Okay. But yeah, I think there's some truth in it. Tim and I were doing a workshop in a country, and no matter what Tim said, this hand would go up, and he would ask the next. It was like he had watched Tim's lectures, and he was moving to Tim's next point before Tim could get there. And Tim's too kind of a person, but you know, but yeah, you see it a lot, and but that's just the way. And I often think, like when I read comments either on Reddit or on my podcast, 8 billion people on the planet Earth didn't know you're a moron, but thanks for letting us know by that comment. So that's what I want to say.
So I also, and again, if people don't, maybe you could tell people how they do, but I get your wandering weights emails every single week, which you publish, no matter where you are in the world or what you're doing. Where do people go to sign up to that? Because
Oh, I think, Pete, would you double check for me right now? I think you go to danjohnuniversity.com, and I think it's right there when you,
oh, to sign up to the emails,
I don't
yeah.
even think you have to sign up. I think you get it, it just comes up, doesn't it?
Pete is just
Keep
having a check
talking.
at that. Yeah,
Keep
no, we'll keep
talking.
talking
This isn't interesting.
because the reason I say is because I read your one this week, and we
Yeah.
mentioned just before coming on they're always really interesting, and they're great because you kind of talk a little bit about kind of what you're doing at the time, where you are, something, and then you kind of go on to share some thoughts or stuff you're working on. And the one that you just did this week was about kind of game changers, which again, I
Yeah.
suppose is within the art of coaching, and you being involved in coaching for, over 40 years. certain things come and go, and certain things stand the test of time, and certain things are what you'd call game changers. They really do make a difference in, your career or your athletic prowess or your strength or whatever. And you gave a kind of a list of game changers, from strength, conditioning, diet, performance, finances,
Go ahead,
parenting, all these things.
go
Yeah.
ahead, share some. Go ahead, share some.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So the three and I think they were coming in three. So
yeah,
the three game changers for strength was loaded carries, Olympic lifts, and kettlebells.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I just like everybody else, as a kid, I got the small, 50 kilo barbell, and I did all the 2 sets of 5 of the 12 exercises, and then over time you built that up, and it was great. And then I started doing the, basic bodybuilding that you'd get out of the crap magazines, in my home gym, gosh, I started lifting when I was 8. So it was, and I got my first incline bench when I was 13. I saved money for a year to buy it. And then, but when I met Dick Notmeyer and started Olympic lifting, I put on 40 pounds in 4 months. I mean, I think I've mentioned this before. I mean, I walked in the house. My brother Gary had just gotten married, so he hadn't seen me in a couple months. I walked in, he looked at me and said, "Holy shit," because I was just such a different looking human. And for me, the Olympic lifts took me from a good, I don't know what you guys, scholastic athlete to a Division I MVP, and that was huge. Later, I broke my wrist, and my doctor said I'd never lift weights again. And my friend Mike Rosenberg and I just started cobbling together ideas about loaded carries. Well, that Highland game season, I show up and I'm breaking all kinds of records. I'm not lifting weights. I'm just doing sled drags, and I'm holding heavy bags, and I'm doing my best to rehab the wrist with suitcase carries and farmer walks and
Mm.
deadlift walks. I couldn't do any of the exercises if I could carry them, and just completely changed. And then right at the same time, kettlebells showed up, and it was at the national championships when the event kept getting delayed. A buddy of mine just showed up with a kettlebell, and he showed me how to swing, and I did some swings, and boy, I got to tell you, it lit me up, and it got me ready to go and throw. And of course, it also helped my javelin go farther in this event I did called the weight pentathlon. So, and then of course, from kettlebells, I started doing easy strength, which is funny because easy strength is what I was doing in 1965, 66, and 67.
Mm.
Easy strength is what we used to call weightlifting.
Yeah.
so, so it all just makes a big, you know.
Yeah.
I just want to say yes, it is that website, and it says sign up today. The bigger thing on that website is there's a video of you saying "Welcome to Dan John University." I haven't watched it, but the picture of you on there, the thumbnail, you look totally different. In it, as in you say you've lost weight and you've got healthier and you look totally different. I don't know when that was on that video, and I don't know when the last time you looked at it was. And I'm not trying to kiss your ass or anything. I was surprised. I was surprised because people when people go and look, they'll see you look totally different.
Oh,
So
thank you.
nice.
Maybe we need to redo that video. Okay, let's. I mean,
Oh, so I also saw a photo of you out in Australia on the beach, didn't I? Where you were doing your David Hasselhoff.
yeah. I got to tell you, yeah, I got a lot of. As a 68-year-old, I found some of the comments to be, a little offensive. I am not a sex object. Okay, I'm a human. I'm a person. Okay, I'm
Yeah,
not.
sorry about that.
I'm not just a piece of meat anymore, Peter. Okay, I have a feeling.
Okay, sorry. I'll delete it.
So, are you still Olympic lifting now? Are you still competing are you aiming to compete in 2026, or
Well,
what's going on with you?
I haven't. Okay, so generally I compete in our record breakers meet and our state meet, and we had an issue at last year's state meet. a very famous coach had to be escorted out by the local police because he was being and honestly, I was just I don't. But so right now, I don't know what's going on in our local weightlift. I can't. Every week there's a new phrase. They keep um, we keep getting worse as a country as Olympic lifting, so we just keep changing the acronyms for everything. So our response in the United States when things are going south, change the acronyms. So I'm not sure. I might. I lift. It's usually in October, November, and then in March, but I haven't heard anything yet. And as long, generally about 8 weeks out, I'll start, gearing up.
Mm.
So
But
to
I
be honest,
suppose that I think that for your general kind of outlook, or and one of the big things as well, obviously in the book, The Art of Coaching, is what are your goals? What is your age? It's keeping the goal. And I think you say, don't you, that a coach is something that you get in and it takes you from here to there, and it's knowing where here is and it's knowing where there is,
yeah,
and I think that at the moment, your emphasis, if you like, or your focus is switched to uh, longevity, living
yeah.
long, living healthy, dropping body weight, being as healthy as you can be. And I suppose, I mean, I think you're approaching 70. Your performance goals, I suppose you still have performance goals, but they've kind of taken not a back,
Very much.
slightly recalibrated the hierarchy of what's important to you. Is that fair to say?
That is very fair to say. And one of the reasons I do like the state meet is because I'm on a team. So, and I'm guaranteed to win because, I mean, this is going to sound, there's not many people 66 to 70 at my size in the world who can beat me in the Olympic lifts. Yeah, and how come? Not a lot of guys my age weigh this much. Not a lot of guys my way age Olympic lifts. So if you keep finding a small and small and small enough pond, you can be the biggest fish. Yes. And so it gets back to that half empty, half full. See, I just keep trying to find the glass of water that's small enough that I can be the biggest fish in. So you're exactly right. Um, you know, this, just a week or so from now, I'll be flying off to California for my 50th high school reunion. Now, I remember my dad's very well. I had just gotten back from the Middle East and I was very ill. This is 1985, very sick. I'm going to follow up on this. Let me just finish this out for a minute,
Mm.
okay? And when I got off the plane, I mean, I was ill, I was sick. And I remember looking at my dad thinking how much my dad had aged in the last few years. Well, I'm my dad's age at that moment. The second thing, he was the only surviving male member of his class at his 50-year reunion. Of course, there was World War II and smoking, but he was the only survivor. And so that really, you know, this event happened 40 years ago, and now I'm my dad's age. The other thing I just want to bring up is last weekend I went to the class of 1985's 40th high school reunion. These are people I taught high school. And I went there and it was their 40th high school reunion. And one of the things that someone said to me is that I looked younger in many cases than my own students. And that, okay, good for me, pat on my back. But I want to be around for the reunions or around for my grandkids. Well, this morning I dropped my grandkids off at school. I held Daisy, my grandbaby, and that's so yeah. If Olympic lifting for the team is still important, but so is being around. So when you're, but the nice thing is, I don't think that taking 8 weeks off a year to prep up for Olympic lifting meet is a terrible idea. Now, of course, when I get back on the platform, I will be so sore that it'll be hard to forget. Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
So
That's amazing because I mean, like James alluded to at the start, I'm halfway through getting a tattoo done, another one. But the quote that's on it is, "If you know the way broadly, you will see it in all things." The from the Book of Five Rings. And you're just describing that now from like, you go to a high school reunion of the people you taught, and you look in better shape than a lot of those people who are 20 years younger than you or whatever. But you've been lifting weights and, you know, kind of not necessarily being healthy because you were smashing your body and all that sort of stuff, but you've done enough over the last 50 years. And that is why you started this 50 years ago. And it for me, that just sits really well. And we talk about it all the time on the podcast. I broke my foot 4 weeks ago, and I went to get it x-rayed again yesterday. Apparently it's healing anatomically perfectly. So pat on the back for me as well. But the guy said, you know, keep doing what you're doing. It's healing well. You know, you don't smoke, drink plenty of water, all of that sort of stuff. And I was like, yeah, I want to be doing this in 20, 30 years time. And he was like, exactly, that's how it should be. He's like, you treat the person, not the condition. I also found out, sorry, I'm taking over here, but last year or whenever it was, we did the workshop at James's gym with you and Tim. And remember, my toe was sore and I thought it was gout. It's arthritis. I've got arthritis in my big toes. Because there were x-rays yesterday. And I just asked him, I said, oh, my big toes get sore. And he said, oh, you've got arthritis. But he also said, it shouldn't be, with what you do, you walk plenty, you do this, he said it'll probably not be a problem for a very long time because you move. But if you stop moving and you stop doing what you're doing, it will become a thing. Which I thought was great, because a lot of physios, a lot of people might tell you, you've got this, you know, you need to be careful. He's like, no, keep doing what you're doing. It's fine.
Yeah. I'd rather have arthritis than gout.
Me too, which why I'm glad he told me I had also. I was like, yes.
I mean, I've got some arthritis. Like my right ankle from discus throwing has it. But it's interesting you said that. Let me just give you a couple real quick numbers. So this year is my 50th high school reunion. It's my 60th anniversary of starting lifting weights. And 100 years ago this year, my grandmother died. My dad's mom died. 100 years ago. So it's just, sometimes when people say, you know, that, you know, and of course this year I also have, you know, a new granddaughter. So it's just funny how, you know, how things just keep turning. And you're right. And I would suggest all listeners, exercise is the answer for so many of life's issues. But only 1 in 20 Americans do it. So, half claim 1 in 20 do. It's like flossing your teeth. Everyone says they do, but nobody does it. Yeah.
I was watching a documentary the other day about you know, Robbie Robinson, the black bodybuilder from he's 70. Well, I think it was a few years ago this was made, but he was 75 in the documentary. And he still trains like, you know, and I think he went to Vietnam. You know, he had to go there. He was drafted and all the rest of it. And I think they called him the Black Prince, was his kind of nickname. Yeah, the Black Prince. And it's fantastic because he was 75 in this documentary, and he's training this guy in his 50s. And he's talking about it, and but he had something. What did he have? Sickle cell anemia or something from when he was young. Yeah, but he had to eat because of a condition he had. He had to eat really carefully when he was young and when he was growing up. So he's always at, you know, eggs, meat, vegetables. You know, he avoided all of the kind of candies and all the kind of crap that his brothers and sisters used to eat. And he was 75, and he looks in incredible shape, and he's, you know, and he's still going strong, and just a lifetime of I don't know, back in the day, you know, bodybuilding at, you know, in the 70s with Arnold and all that, you know, they would have been taking you know, steroids and things like that. But it just looks to me that at that age he's a lot smaller than he was, but he's still, you know, lean and training every day. And it's just, I mean, you talk about it as well. I know it was quite interesting. You talk about physical health and fitness and training, and also how that almost mirrors kind of the best practices for like finances and, you know, and compound interest and all this kind of thing, you know, which is so interesting. But that Robbie Robinson was really, really interesting. And like you say, much like yourself, you know, a whole 60 years of lifting, you know.
Can I just make it real quick? When I was in junior college, I went down to Muscle Beach and I met him. So I went in and I paid $10. This is 1976, maybe $10 for the day. So it was expensive. And I was at Gold's Gym and then I went to World's Gym later. And I was doing, they had a great Olympic lifting setup in the corner. So I was doing power cleans. A couple hours later, I'm walking on the beach and this guy is running towards me. It's Robbie Robinson. He stops and he goes, "You're the guy that was doing power cleans." And I go, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "It's nice to see a young man who knows how to train." And so he turned and he walked with me. We, I'm going to make, to me, it was a 3 hour conversation. It might have been 28 seconds. Okay. But I just remember it like it was, yeah. And he told me two things. He goes, if you don't ever know what to do, he goes, when I don't know what I do bench press, pull up for as many supersets as I can. And the next day I do straight leg deadlift, front squat, straight leg deadlift, front squat, as many sets as I can. He goes, that's kind of my template for when I just want to stay in shape. And the fat loss, he pointed over and there was a stairwell that went from the beach all the way up. It was a good sized stairwell. I'm sure it must be in a lot of things. He goes, you run up and down that a few times and there's all the fat loss you'll need to do. I can remember that like it was yesterday,
Oh.
and that was the same year I met Wilt Chamberlain and former world record holder in discus, Fortune Gordine. I met those three people in a tight amount of like weeks. And they all said something that completely changed the way I look at. Fortune Gordine said, when you're in trouble, simplify. And of course, Wilt Chamberlain, the great basketball player, he goes, warm-ups is warm-ups. He goes, his whole point was it doesn't, you can do all the magic you want, but it's only when there's referees and the clock is ticking, that's the only time things count. Yeah.
Didn't Wilt Chamberlain, he was in one of the Conan movies, I think, was
Yes,
he?
he was.
He turned up with, because I've seen the photo of it
Yeah.
was Wilt Chamberlain, Arnold in the middle,
And Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant, and Arnold looks like a kid, and Wilt Chamberlain must be 7 foot,
Oh no, he's bigger than 7 foot.
Yeah,
When he handed me the discus, okay, I can't even explain it. He handed me the discus like this. He handed me.
Was it like the Naked Gun or Police Squad, where it's like you got something on the side of your mouth, Al, and he drops like a banana on the thing? A bit like that, was it?
It was. He was so big. And just he and a guy, Utah Jazz basketball player named Mark Eaton. Not only were they way in excess of 7 feet tall, but he was also proportioned, like this is going to sound odd to your listeners. He was proportioned like a great athlete. So his shoulders were, their shoulders were just unbelievable. And Wilt Chamberlain, I've heard this, he was a state shot put champ. He was a great high jumper. 4-time Olympic gold medal winner. Al Order said it was a good thing the ring wasn't bigger because Wilt Chamberlain would have been the best thrower of all time. That's when the world, a 4-time Olympic gold medalist says somebody's better, you lean in. By the way, I just feel like I'm skipping. What are the ones I have on finance? Is it debt free on that list?
Yeah, well, I was actually just going to touch on, because I was going to say, because one on your conditioning game changers, number one was stadium steps and hill sprints. So that just made me think of what you said about Robbie Robinson telling you that, which is
and Percy Sarity said the same thing. And the San Francisco 49ers in their glory days, Barry Sanders, Walter Payton. This is all American audience references, but yeah, there's hill sprints. If greatness comes from the hill. Yeah.
Finances, the three you had down was being debt free is a joy, handle things early in life, and automate finances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go through any of those?
Yeah, I mean, if you can just expand each one just a touch, if that's okay. Yeah.
In 1987, in fact, this is you knew Tiffany, didn't you? You met
Yes.
Tiffany?
Yeah, we both did. Yeah, yeah.
So before I even met Tiffany, I took a course called Debt Free Millionaire. And even though I was a school teacher making Honestly, I'm not trying to brag. I make more money in probably 3 weeks than I did it in 4 weeks for sure than I did in a year as a school teacher. Okay. We don't get paid well here in the States in schools. Um, so I took the course called Debt Free Millionaire. And so one of the things I've discovered in life, and this is an American kind of thing, and I think it might carry over to the UK. Um, Debt is just a burden, and you got to be good. There's good debt and there's bad debt. Eating, if you ate a meal 3 years ago and you're still paying, on credit card on it, that meal wasn't that good. You're still you're paying fivefold what it was cost. Being debt free is just a wonderful thing. Going to the dentist in your 20s is much better than trying to fix it in your 60s. So, and I tell my daughters this, try to graduate with your class. I don't know if this will translate as well, but here in the States, you graduate from high school 17, 18. 4 years later, you should have your bachelor's. 2 years later, you should have your master's. My daughter Kelly took my advice, so did Lindsay, and they both got their degrees as fast as they could. And Kelly has two master's degree, and she took my advice. She goes, Dad, you said years ago she had a chance to get a master's and another one. And she said, in 2 years, I can either have this master's or in 2 years, I won't. It'll still be 2 years from now. But now she has double masters. And because of that, she got this new career that she never expected she would have because it was already in her rear view mirror. So take care of things you should take care of when you should. If you're supposed to get a colonoscopy every 5 years or whatever, 10 or whatever, have it in your rear view mirror. You know, people ask me at workshops, Dan, how do you increase your VO2 max? Because of that Peter Attia book, which whatever. And I'm like, well, what's your VO2 max now? I don't know. Well, then how the hell am I supposed to help you improve something you don't know? I need to lose weight. What do you weigh? I have no idea. Well, what the hell? Give me a break. What was the third one?
Was automate finances.
Oh yeah. So my entire career since '87, I've I've never saved a dollar since then. It just it just comes out. All my every and it's probably more normal now, but I don't think I've paid a bill in 10 years. I just set it up through the bank. So,
Mm,
but my investments, my saving, and my bill paying is automated. In
mm,
about the second week of the month, I look at my checking account, and that's what I have in my checking account.
mm,
All the bills are paid, all the savings are saved, all the investments are automate as much as you can. Uh,
mm,
and no matter and automate can be as simple if is getting a set of envelopes if you still love cash. And so I love, by the way, I love envelopes. Envelopes are so underrated. When I'm wow, yeah, this is this is my conversation with my coach from last time.
mm,
Yeah. By the way, anybody who coaches themselves has an idiot for a client. I spend a lot of money on my coach, a lot of money, and I strongly recommend everyone do that.
mm,
But I mean, if you get paid 1,000 and you get it in cash, put one envelope that's savings, one envelope to invest in bills, and whatever your system is, have a system in the same way. My movement matrix, right? That's my system for organizing strength movements.
mm,
Well, you need a system we humans love systems.
mm.
We're constantly trying to control our environment. So control it. Yeah.
I think I've just kind of struck me. It's probably not anything. It's probably you can see the parallel as well. But the being debt free is a joy and handle things early in life. And when you say I don't know if it's Percy Cerruti or Clarence Bass who said that how would you deal with being overweight? We don't get fat in the first place, kind of thing.
Devaney. Yeah.
Is that yeah? Oh, Artavania, yeah. So it's kind of like that being debt free is almost allowing yourself to get too out of shape is almost the same as being in debt, isn't it? And you have to kind of pay that off, and work that off over time. Whereas if you can have a system for managing that in the first place, and it's obviously easy to say, And it's but it's easy to do, really. It's yeah.
At my age, I should probably have 120 dental checkups under my belt. I probably higher, maybe I'll probably at 130, 135. 130 dental checkups at my age, probably more because I go 3 times a year to the dentist. I pay for it. So that's because I think that it's a very inexpensive achievement. Well, how much information do I have about my dental health? How much, I mean, if something comes up, it's always extremely minor with my dental health. Uh, I didn't mention, I haven't mentioned this, but Dr. Bernetti, so I taught him in high school, and he's been my doctor. I go to him twice a year. Last time I came to, because I had to redo a blood test. There was nothing wrong. We'd forgotten to get one thing done. He saw me in the parking lot and hugged me, and he thanked me for taking my health so seriously. When your doctor hugs you, folks, that's when you know you're doing the right things, because my blood pressure is low. By the way, my testosterone is low. My hematocrit is low. All my bad blood stuff is low. All my good blood stuff is high. And he just wanted to thank. He just goes, "It's so nice to have someone, who does what you're supposed to do." And I'm not okay. Again, Peter, please, both of us,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
But and if I can give a lesson to anybody, I mean, almost universally in life, early is better. Not long ago, I was at a wedding it seems like a while. It must have been pre-COVID, but remember, I was out at Josh's wedding just north of Manchester. And I said, if you invite me, his real name is David, his stage name is Josh, which I found out when I got there. When I got to the wedding, it was wonderful. And I was one of the first people to RSVP, because early is always better for a bride and groom. Early is always better. And sign up for things early, and buy the ticket early and get the hotel early, and then that way life just is easier, man. Life is easy.
The way I've learned that is the human brain likes closed loops. And if you've got something open, it drives you nuts. Whereas if you just go and do the thing, and then you're like, right, I don't have to worry about that anymore.
What do I do right before I go to bed every night? I write my to-do list for the next day. I check. It says on my to-do list, drop Danny and Joe off at school, JSP and the what's Unique Results podcast? I can't remember the Health Oddity podcast. Yes, it's right. Those are the first, and then it says tonic workout, and then it says 10,000 steps. That's my day.
Excellent. And we'll wrap up in a second, because I know you've systemized this, and you are training today like you always do every morning, and that's almost in that automate finances, or you just make it automatic. You've got people coming round to do your tonic
in my
Thursday.
house.
So
15 minutes.
Yeah. So, but one of the things, there was a random list of game changers, and this we didn't think we'd give you this wisdom on the Health Oddity podcast, but number 3 on the random list is stick with one airline and hotel chain. Loyalty pays.
Loyalty pays. Yeah. So I'm a Delta Diamond. Eric and I are heading out to North Carolina for the Pro Reset workshop with Tim, and then to visit my daughter. So I bought her ticket for her, because it cost $32 to fly her first class, because I had a companion ticket, first class companion ticket. So I had to pay $32 for some reason. That's loyalty pays. And I try to stay as much as I can in the same hotel chains. I try. It's hard because I travel internationally so much, but loyalty pays. And if I mean, there's a funny scene in Ted Lasso where one of the guys says he's a Manchester United, or what's the other one? Man
City.
Man City. Sorry, Man City fan. It depends on who's doing better, and everybody who's a soccer fan at the table is like, loyalty pays, man.
Loyalty pays. Brilliant.
Well, would you say I'm loyal to you guys?
100%.
I mean,
I know, but I know you've got lots. I read in your in your thing, you said that you've got lots of podcasts this week. So you're loyal, but you're not what would the word be? You're not monogamous in your podcast.
Well, I mean, just think
Well,
of how much.
hang on, he is in Utah. You know, and
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, there you go. Yeah,
There's, I can drive you to polygamous homes right now. They're right over there.
absolutely.
Well, over there. But yeah, I mean, the feedback I get about your podcast all the time is that you guys need more Dan John. That's what I constantly hear.
Excellent. Well, it has been a pleasure again. I'll just
absolutely.
hold the book up, The Art of Coaching, Dan John. If you go on to well,
Amazon.
I just bought it through like you say, the famous South American River company.
Can I tell you one other thing?
Yeah.
The time this podcast comes out, the second armor building formula book will probably be available.
Excellent. So
I did the proofs last night for way too many hours.
And will that be from danjohnuniversity.com/bookstore?
Yeah, and that's the only place. Yeah. And I know people complain about it, but folks, I just got to quit getting ripped off by certain companies that are named after rivers.
But like I always say, I buy them and print them and get them bound. And
I agree.
The Omnibook is the Easy Strength Omnibook, the armor building formula. And like you say, if there's an update to the armor building formula coming out, then that will be fantastic as well.
So a friend of mine bound them for me, and the problem is the print is so small I can't.
Yeah, so mine's like A4, you know, nice.
Me too.
Nice,
yeah.
So nice big size.
Those are my copies right there. The ones. Yeah. Oh
Fantastic.
yeah, my office and the new edition right there. I have a record player in here, so yeah, so I can crank out the LPs. So listen, love you guys. Looking forward to seeing you again, folks. If you ever get a chance to go out to Essex. Oh, by the way, a friend of mine was just went to. You guys say Maiden or Madden?
Oh, Malden, it was, wasn't it?
Malden.
You were going to message me because Erica messaged me, and you were going to message me to see if I could meet them or something.
Yeah, he it was his father's funeral, so I'm sure.
Okay.
Next time I go back, I'll reread the Battle of Malden. So I'll be more of an even. I just reread Beowulf. Oh, and I just retyped up my 1981 first publication, Conservation of Detail, A New Look at the Beowulf Poet by Daniel John, and that should be available on DJU. So when I was in Australia, I'm going to talk for another minute. So my friend Piers' daughter, Abby, was fascinated. So I reviewed Beowulf for her. And then I realized that so I retyped this entire paper that I presented at the Rocky Mountain Conference on British Studies, and all of a sudden I just got the love again for Beowulf and my Anglo-Saxon. My earliest work was Anglo-Saxon history, basically the Beowulf and the whole concept of Megan fate. So enough. God, listen to me. So that's.
Next year, is it going to be Tim as well over with you, or is it just?
Would you like Tim with us?
Well, which?
Just say yes.
Yes, yeah. I take it you're probably already committed to what you're doing, but if we can fit something in, it would be amazing. Yeah.
Well, we could. Yeah, I already have. I'm thinking I think we'll do something. Now we have a workshop in Scotland too, just a day or two, but. And then we'll just make a little loop. Thought we'd make a little loop of the island. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be amazing. Yeah.
And I would like to go to Cornwall because of because of the pictures you sent me. Hey, I got to purchase one of those. Where?
You have to actually get that at Tintagel.
They won't sell it online.
They might sell one online, but it's from English Heritage, so that's a replica of the actual thing at Tintagel. Yeah, so
I have that in my backyard, a 16-foot statue, the same thing. But it'd be nice to have one for the house.
Brilliant, Dan. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure. And if you don't, if you don't follow Dan John at the moment, please do go on to Instagram at Coach Dan John. If you want to buy any of Dan's books, which are all fantastic, go to danjohnuniversity.com/bookstore, or is it on Target? The old books that you've got.
And those are mostly, on Target, OTPpress.com, OTPpublishing.com, but they're on Amazon. Whatever you decide is fine. Thanks and by the way, James and Peter, thank you always for the support. Love it when people talk about my products. It's nice. Don't worry. I don't, I can still I have enough money to feed the dog. I go hungry. But thanks for helping out the business. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Brilliant. And then hopefully we will see you in person next spring in England.
If you say yes, we're there. And Erica will be there. And if you want, she just did a workshop on sexuality in Australia. And I got to tell you, it was really well received. It's a topic people don't talk about in physical fitness at all. And yet, boy, did she hold that at a gym or somewhere different? You could just do it in that little area we always go. And
yeah. Cool. Brilliant.
Just an hour. Whatever. Yeah. All right.
Excellent. No, definitely. Brilliant. Enjoy your training, Dan, and we will see you. We'll see you soon. Look at those guns. Brilliant. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Please do like, share, subscribe, leave a review if you're watching or listening on a platform that allows you to do so. Especially Apple Podcasts is where we're trying to get reviews on there. And if you do that, we will read it out on air and send you out some free merch. Until next week, thank you very much, Dan.
Thank you, guys. Wonderful time. Wonderful.
Thank you very much, Peter.
You're welcome.
And we will see you next week for episode 268. Until then, bye-bye.
Well, hey.
You've been listening to Health Odyssey with Peter Lant and James St. Pierre. To get your regular fix of hype-free health, you can subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You can find out more on today's and other topics at healthodyssey.com or find us on Facebook or Instagram by searching for Health Odyssey.